Since I can no longer touch my phone, I'm writing this on my laptop. I can hear it vibrating as it sits face down on my kitchen counter right now. For 3 hours in a row, it has been doing that. Every time I approach it or consider picking it up, I am reminded of my roommate Jake's fate. And I remember the rule I broke. This is going to sound crazy. I am aware of the format. Another true story that is most likely fiction, another creepypasta about an enigmatic phone call. However, I must inform someone of the situation before I make a foolish move, before I respond to it once more. Because that's the thing. Part of me wants to answer. Part of me needs to know who's on the other end. And that's exactly how it gets you. Let me start from the beginning. Jake, my roommate, began acting strangely 3 weeks ago. Both of us were software developers, night owls, and fairly typical guys who enjoyed gaming and ordering too much takeout. We had been living together for nearly 2 years. Jake, however, abruptly woke up. All right stopped. At first, I figured he was crunching on a project. He'd pull all-nighters before, but this was different. He'd sit on the couch at 3 a.m. with his phone pressed against his ear, not saying anything, just listening. When I asked him about it, he'd give me this vacant smile and say, "Just a call. Don't worry about it." After 5 days of this, Jake looked like hell. Dark circles under his eyes, pale skin, shaking hands. He stopped eating, stopped showering, just sat there with his phone, sometimes holding it to his ear, sometimes staring at the screen. Always around 3 a.m. "Dude, who keeps calling you?" I asked him on the 6th night. It was 3:17 a.m., and I'd woken up to use the bathroom. Jake was in his usual spot on the couch, phone to his ear, eyes glassy and unfocused. He turned to look at me, and for a second, I didn't recognize him. His expression was wrong. Too still, too empty. "You'll find out," he said. "Everyone does eventually." Jake disappeared 2 days later. Not absent. Gone. There was no one in his room. He had left his car in the parking lot. His phone was on the coffee table, its screen broken as if he had thrown it against the wall. Nothing was discovered despite the police filing a missing person report. There was no note, no sign of struggle, and no clue as to his whereabouts. Just his phone. And when I picked it up to give it to the police, I saw his call log. Incoming calls. All from unknown number. All at exactly 3 a.m. Every single day for 2 weeks. Each call lasting hours. Some of them showing 7+ hours of active call time. That should have been impossible. Phone batteries don't last that long on an active call. But there it was in the log. 7 hours. 9 hours. The last one showed 14 hours and 37 minutes. The police took the phone as evidence. I tried to forget about it. Tried to move on. I even looked for a new roommate because living alone in that apartment was starting to creep me out. Then, exactly 2 weeks after Jake disappeared, my phone rang at 3 a.m. I should have left it on voicemail. I should have put my phone in a drawer and turned it off. However, I was confused and half asleep, and my initial reaction was that it might be Jake's news. Perhaps something had been discovered by the police. I picked up without looking at the caller ID. "Hello?" Silence. Not dead air. Something different. There was a presence on the other end. I could feel it. Like someone was there, breathing, listening, waiting. "Hello?" I said again, more alert now. "Who is this?" Still nothing. But I could hear something in the background. A sound like static, but underneath it, something else. Something that almost sounded like whispering. Multiple voices, layered over each other, too quiet to make out individual words. I ought to have hung up. My gut told me to end the call. However, I was unable to. I was unable to physically press the red button, but my thumb was hovering over it. It wasn't paralysis. Rather, it seemed as though my hand was defying the signal from my brain. "This isn't funny," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm hanging up now." But I wasn't hanging up. I was still holding the phone to my ear, still listening to that static and those whispers. Then, a voice cut through the noise, clear, distinct, impossible. "You answered." It was Jake's voice, but wrong, flattened somehow, emotionless. "Jake?" My heart was pounding. "Jake, where are you? Are you okay?" "You answered," he repeated, exactly the same inflection. "Now you're in the call. Now you can't hang up." "What are you talking about?" "Jake, I'm calling the police." "You can try," his voice said. "But you won't. Because you want to know. You want to understand. That's why you answered. That's why everyone answers." The static grew louder. The whispers became more distinct, and I realized they weren't random. They were all saying the same thing, overlapping, creating a horrible chorus. "You answered. You answered. You answered." I attempted to end the call. Yes, I did. Nothing happened when I hit the end call button. The call went on. I attempted to shut down my phone, but the screen remained unresponsive. My arm wouldn't move when I tried to toss it across the room. I listened to those voices while frozen, my phone pressed to my ear. "What do you want?" I finally asked, my voice shaking. The static cut out, sudden, complete silence. Then Jake's voice again. But this time it sounded more like him, desperate, terrified. "Don't stay on the line. Don't listen. You have to find a way to hang up before—" He was cut off. The static returned, but now there was something else, a new sound, low, rhythmic. It took me a moment to recognize it. Breathing, deep, slow breathing that didn't match any human rhythm. It was too slow, too deliberate, and it was getting closer, like whatever was making that sound was moving toward the phone. "Who the fuck is this?" I shouted. The breathing stopped, and then I heard my own voice coming from the phone. "Who the fuck is this?" It repeated, perfectly matching my tone, my inflection, my fear. I dropped the phone. Finally, my muscles obeyed me, and I threw it across the room. It hit the wall and clattered to the floor, but the call didn't end. I could still hear it, still hear that static, those whispers, that breathing. And then my voice again, coming from the phone's speaker. I dropped the phone. Finally, my muscles obeyed me. It was repeating exactly what I'd just thought. I grabbed my laptop, pulled up my phone carrier's website, and tried to force end the call remotely. It should have worked. I had the account access, the ability to terminate active calls. But every time I tried, the web page would freeze or redirect me to an error page. The call continued. 3:17 a.m. 17 minutes on an active call I couldn't end. I did something desperate. I grabbed a hammer from the toolbox and went after my phone, planning to physically destroy it. But when I got close, the screen lit up, and I saw something that made me freeze. I had my camera on. I was being recorded by the front-facing camera. However, there was something wrong with the image on the screen. There was something behind me in the picture. But it was me, holding a hammer. A shadow in my brightly lit apartment that shouldn't be there. A tall, slender shadow that appeared to move and change without reference to any source of light. I spun around. Nothing there. But when I looked back at the phone screen, the shadow was closer, right behind my digital reflection. "You can't destroy the call," Jake's voice said from the speaker, making me jump. "It's not in the phone anymore. It's in you now. You're part of it." I backed away from the phone, my heart hammering so hard I thought I might pass out. What the hell does that mean? The call doesn't end, Jake explained, and now his voice sounded sad, resigned. Once you answer, you're always on the line. Even when you think you've hung up, even when the phone says the call is over, you're still connected, still listening, still being listened to. 3:24 a.m., 24 minutes on a call I couldn't end. I did the only thing I could think of. I ran. I grabbed my keys, left my phone in the apartment, and drove to a 24-hour diner across town. Put as much physical distance between me and that device as I could. I sat in a booth drinking bad coffee for an hour, trying to tell myself that I had overreacted. It might have been a joke. My phone might have been compromised. Perhaps I was experiencing a stress-related episode following Jake's disappearance. Then the diner's phone rang. The old landline behind the counter. The waitress answered it, listened for a moment, then looked directly at me. "It's for you," she said, holding out the receiver. "That's impossible," I said. "Nobody knows I'm here." She just stood there, arm extended, face blank, waiting. I ought to have gone. I should have left that diner and continued running. However, do you know what I did? I approached and picked up the phone, because I had a need to know, had to comprehend what was taking place. "Hello?" "You can't run from the call," Jake's voice said. "There's no distance far enough." "It's not about the phone. It's about the connection. And you made the connection when you answered." "How are you doing this?" My voice was barely a whisper. "I'm not doing anything. I'm stuck here. Same as you are now. Same as everyone who's ever answered the 3 a.m. call. We're all on the line together, waiting. Waiting for what?" Static. Then multiple voices, all speaking at once. For everyone to answer. For the call to be complete. For you to understand what you've joined. For it to come through. I slammed the phone down and ran out of the diner. The waitress didn't try to stop me. She just watched me go with that same blank expression. When I got back to my apartment, my phone was still on the floor where I'd left it. The screen was dark, no indication of an active call. According to the phone log, the call had ended at 3:47 a.m., showing 47 minutes of call time, but I could still hear it, faintly, like the static and whispers were coming from inside my head now, a constant background noise that I couldn't tune out. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, I've been experiencing things that make no sense. I'll be at work, having a normal conversation with a coworker, and suddenly I'll hear their voice say something they didn't actually say. Something about the call, about answering, about joining. I'll wake up in the middle of the night, always at 3 a.m. exactly. And I'll hear my phone ringing even though it's turned off and locked in a drawer. When I check, there's no missed calls, no notifications. But I can hear it. That ringtone playing from somewhere I can't locate. Twice, I found myself standing in front of my phone at 3 a.m. with no memory of getting up or walking over to it. Just suddenly aware that I'm there, hand reaching for the device, about to answer a call that hasn't even started ringing yet. I did research, dug through forums, searched for similar stories, looked for any explanation. What I found was worse than not knowing. There are others. Dozens of posts on obscure message boards all describing the same thing. A call at 3 a.m. from an unknown number. An inability to hang up. Voices that know too much. And then the person posting disappears. Their accounts go silent. Their last post always says something like, "It's calling again," or "I have to answer," or "I finally understand." One post, from 6 months ago, had a warning. The call is patient. It doesn't matter if you answer the first time or the 100th time. It will keep calling, every night at 3 a.m. And eventually, you will answer, because humans are curious creatures. We can't help ourselves. We need to know, and the moment you know, The moment you answer, you become part of it, part of the network. Another voice in the static, another person waiting on the line for everyone else to pick up. I don't know what happens when everyone's answered, when the call is complete. But I know we're close. I can feel it. There are so many of us on the line now, so many voices in the static, and tonight I'm going to find out what we've all been waiting for. I'm going to answer again. I'm going to listen to the end. I'm going to... The post ended there. The user never posted again. I found Jake's social media. He'd made one final post before disappearing at 2:47 a.m. on his last night. Just 3 words. I understand now. Here's what I think is happening. And I know this sounds completely insane, but I can't come up with any other explanation that fits. The call seems genuine to me. It's something that, in my opinion, exists between conversations, within the actual network. Not a hacker, not a virus, not a person. Another thing. Something that has been spreading via internet connections, phone lines, and other distance communication methods. Expanding. Gathering individuals. Every person who answers becomes part of it. A node in its network. Still conscious, still aware, but trapped in the call. Forever connected. And the more people it collects, the stronger it gets. The better it can reach out. The more it can manipulate. 3 nights ago, I saw Jake. I was lying in bed, exhausted but unable to sleep, when I heard my phone buzz. A text message from Jake's number, the one the police still had as evidence. The message said, "Look outside your window." I didn't want to. Every fiber of my being told me not to. But I did it anyway. I got up, walked to my window, and looked out at the parking lot. Jake was standing under a streetlight, staring directly at my apartment, at my window, at me. He lifted his phone to his ear. Mine started ringing. Unknown number, 3 a.m. exactly. I watched Jake standing there, phone to his ear, waiting, and I realized he wasn't alone. There were other people in the parking lot, at least a dozen, all holding phones, all staring up at my window, all waiting for me to answer. I didn't answer that night. I closed the curtains, turned off all my lights, and hid in my bathroom until dawn. When I finally looked outside again, they were gone. But they'll be back. Because it calls every night. And every night, I want to answer a little more. The curiosity is eating me alive. What is it? What does it want? What happens when the call is complete? I found one more thing in my research. A post from a telecommunications engineer who claimed to have been tracking an anomaly in phone networks worldwide. According to him, there's been a massive increase in call data at exactly 3 a.m. across all time zones. Calls that show up in the system but don't go through normal routing. Calls that exist in a kind of digital limbo. He calculated that based on the growth rate, every phone on Earth will be affected within 6 months. Every human with a phone number will receive the call. And most will answer, because that's what we do. A phone rings, we pick up. It's instinct. It's social conditioning. It's curiosity. His post ended with a timestamp, 2:58 a.m. Then 2 minutes later, a single word update. Ringing. He never posted again. It's 2:47 a.m. right now as I'm typing this. My phone is on the kitchen counter, and I can already feel it. That anticipation, that awareness that in 13 minutes it's going to ring. Unknown number. The same call it makes every night. And here's the thing that terrifies me most. I don't know if I can resist answering much longer. The not knowing is worse than the call itself. Every night I don't answer, the questions get louder. What is it? Why me? What would happen if I just picked up and listened? Maybe Jake understood something I don't. Maybe the call isn't something to fear. Maybe it's something to accept. Maybe we're all going to be part of it eventually. So what's the point in resisting? God, listen to me. That's what it does. It plants doubt, makes you question your own resistance, makes the idea of answering seem reasonable, logical even. I need to tell you the rules I've figured out. Maybe they'll help someone else if they get the call. Never answer an unknown number at 3 a.m., not even to see who it is, not even if you're expecting an important call. That's when it reaches out. If you do answer, you have about 30 seconds before you lose the ability to hang up. Get off the line as fast as possible. Don't listen. Don't engage. Just end the call. If you hear your own voice coming from the phone, it's too late. You're already part of the call. It's already inside your head. Distance doesn't matter. Turning off your phone doesn't matter. Once you've made the connection, it can reach you anywhere, through anything. Don't try to research it. Don't look for answers. That's how it spreads. Through curiosity. Through the need to understand. If you see someone standing outside with a phone to their ear at 3 a.m., don't look at them. Don't acknowledge them. They're trying to make you curious. They're trying to make you answer. Most importantly, if everyone around you starts acting strange, if they all seem to be waiting for something, if you notice more and more people on their phones at 3 a.m., start saying goodbye to the people you love. Because the call is almost complete. It's 2:58 a.m. now. My phone just lit up, not ringing yet, just the screen glowing in the dark. I can see it from here. The light is wrong somehow, too bright, too blue, pulsing slightly, like it's breathing. I'm not going to answer. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to resist. However, I can hear them outside. Car doors shutting, steps on the stairs, voices in the corridor were quiet. They're getting together. Everyone who has already responded, every network node. To make sure I don't miss the call, they're coming. Someone's knocking on my door. Soft, patient, persistent. I can hear my phone starting to vibrate. 2:59 a.m. The knocking is getting louder. There are more of them now. I can hear their phones through the door. All ringing in unison. All from unknown numbers. All at exactly the same frequency, creating this horrible harmonic sound that makes my teeth ache. Jake's voice from outside. Just answer, man. It's so much easier once you answer. All the questions stop. All the fear goes away. You just understand. Don't you want to understand? 3 a.m. My phone is ringing. I'm looking at it right now. Unknown number. The screen showing that incoming call interface I've seen in my nightmares for 2 weeks straight. My hand is moving toward it. I don't remember telling my hand to move. I'm standing up, walking toward the kitchen. I can't stop. I don't want to stop. I need to know. I need to understand what Jake understood, what all of them understand. The door is opening. I didn't unlock it, but it's opening anyway. They're coming in. 12 people, maybe more, all holding phones, all with that same vacant expression Jake had in his last days. They're not saying anything, just standing there, waiting, watching me pick up my phone. It's in my hand now, cool glass against my palm, the vibration traveling up my arm, the ringtone filling my ears, impossibly loud. My thumb is hovering over the answer button. My reflection is visible on the screen. However, it is incorrect. Something is reflected behind me. Something dark and tall that isn't there but somehow feels more real than everything else in the space. Everyone in my apartment is smiling now. That same wrong smile, that same empty expression. Jake is at the front of the group. He's holding out his hand, encouraging. Just answer, he says. We're all waiting for you. Everyone's waiting. The call wants to be complete. I'm pressing the button. I'm raising the phone to my ear. I can hear the static, the whispers, the breathing, all of it suddenly clear, crystal clear. And underneath it all, I can hear something massive, something enormous, something that's been waiting on the other end of this call since the first phone rang in the first house in the first city in the history of telecommunications. It's been waiting for all of us to answer. And we're almost there. "Hello?" I hear myself say. And the voice that responds isn't Jake's. It isn't human. It's something vast and patient and hungry. "Thank you for answering. Please hold. Your call is important to us. You are number 2,847,329,158 in the queue. All representatives are currently busy assisting other callers. Please stay on the line. Your call will be answered in the order it was received." I can't hang up. I can't hang up. I can't. Message ends. Posted at 3:47 a.m. User has not been active since.